this is Ezekiel doing another little video from the editor for my ongoing St. Lo operation. Basically, this is going to be the first in a few videos. At the moment I've got two planned out, where I want to go over a few little map making tips and tricks that I like using, and sort of just giving that map a little bit more life. The reason I really want to do this is, especially for this map, I've got to really pull out all the stops because I really want this map to come alive. It really sounds like a horrible marketing term when I say that, but it really come alive because I'm expecting the player to actually fight multiple battles on this one map. So I've got to keep the map interesting for them to actually continually fight across rather than constantly discovering a new map to fight across in a normal campaign. So basically, I've done a lot of the major layout for the map. That was largely been done, but it is now talking about the finer details, going back and polishing it up to a higher standard. So this first video, I want to talk about bocage, or hedgerows. Now, obviously, bocage is very, very Normandy focused. This may apply less in non-Battle for Normandy games. But anyway, I still think it's a good way of doing a wild, overgrown areas, which this is heavily about. I may actually put up, if I remember, I'm in the video editor I should say, I may actually put up some pictures of around the Carillion strong point from the web, and you'll see just how overgrown it is. So going into this project, I knew everything had to be really, really wild and untamed. There's very, very few fields. Not today, but back then there was very, very few open fields that had been ploughed and the like. A few orchards, but as you see, it's a lot of forested area, and little hamlets in between. Hedgerows, though. Now you see most titles do basically this. They basically just put the hedgerow down, maybe a few gaps here and there along a road or whatever, and they'll leave it at that. This has already got a little bit more to it because it's got long grass or extra tall long grass going right up to the hedgerow edge, but it can look a little bit out of place. If you see pictures of hedgerows in Normandy, they don't really just sit in an open field by themselves unless they're being used like to divide up a farming lot or something like that. If they're just like the wild hedgerows that are inland, like north of St. Lo was, you know, there should be a lot more trees and vegetation around it, not just that one wall sitting in the middle of an open field. Saying that the editor does do most of it for you. It adds in that elevation change to give that hard cover for troops sitting behind it, and it does also put in that huge amount of concealment automatically, obviously, with the foliage. Saying that, though, I think the foliage is so thick it does actually help stop bullets, not perfectly, but I think it can actually give a percentage chance, like to stop the bullet or stop the incoming round. I think we've all seen even high explosive rounds, you know, in the past smash against the hedgerow. On top of that, lots of trees. That's a given, growing through the hedgerows, and also little bushes as well. What I'm doing, this is on the left-hand side of the map. So this is what the American player, this is their main staging area of every mission. And this is the left approach. This is one of the major approaches to get up to the objective area. One of them will be over here. But there's also many other avenues they can go up either through the hedgerows or not. This one, however, I just want to sort of glide through it. It's about 1.5 kilometres of a road. And you can see I've sort of done a lot more to it than meets the eye. So so when you get down to the what is it, camera level 0, whatever they call it, getting eye view, you can see firstly it's got a lot of forested tiles floating right around the road. So the only open bit is the actual single lane road to begin with. Trees are actually in the middle as well, growing wild on both sides of the hedgerows, in the hedgerows, on the road side of the hedgerows. And I think there's also a whole bunch of extra like bushes and like up here, extra bushels and all that as well, randomly put on. So this is what the American player will have to face going uphill. In addition, the editor also does automatically do something like this. When you've got elevation changes in your map, it makes the bocage all over the place. Like it's just wild nature. That's what I really, really like about that. This opens up more opportunities when you're coming around corners, more places to hide things, a bit of extra elevation, maybe for a German anti-tank gun, who knows. But basically, yeah, it does make it look completely unkempt. And if I do put up more photos, if I remember that in the video editor, you'll see what I mean. I'm trying to replicate that complete unkemptness. That's a word, I'm not too sure. So still going up the road. Yep. And you can see this road also automatically dips down. So you'll see a lot of actual pictures and a lot of terminology being used saying, oh, the sunken road or the sunken laneway. This is what I mean. It creates like a bowl effect. If I just angle the camera up going into these trees, it creates that bowl effect with the vision of the troops going up the road or the vehicle going up the road is very, very narrow. Very, very little situational awareness you can expect as the attacking player. Perfect defensive country. I imagine there's not going to be many vehicles in this campaign or this operation, but you can just imagine all the troubles trying to get tanks up here, especially throwing a bit of wet weather. Then you get these openings coming through where roads just open up into a field and then you go down here for another hamlet. So that opens up more problems. You can't just race up a road to achieve victory here. And puncture your way through. You've got to really worry about your flanks as well. I mean, if the Germans are in this area, they know going to come up this road. They're going to race over here and blast you to kingdom come. So yeah, that is what I'm talking about when I like to do bocage. Again, as I said, it does lighten up the top end of the map here, which is on top of the hill. So that's basically up the one road on this map. Question. I was scrolling through there. Did any of you spot the American infantry? Yep. There we go. I went past an entire squad of American infantry hiding in that side there. Okay. I don't know if you saw them as I was scrolling the camera through a little game there. That's how detailed or that's how dense the foliage is. I'm trying to replicate that. That yes, I mean the Americans. That's probably one saving grace. You may be able to get your troops to slowly crawl up the side of this on this bocage tile. You'd have to put a few things, like quite a few waypoints in to stop them going on the road, but you could technically do that very, very slowly, pushing up along the sides here. So that was a little game I wanted to play, but as I was saying, that's what I wanted to achieve all throughout this map. Virtually the entire map, except for the hamlets, is that overgrown nature. Whenever there is like a road like that, I think this is probably the most densest in the map from memory. This is one of the access ways for the Germans probably be able to use for a bit of a service lane going horizontal across the map. Again, very, very dense to allow them, especially maybe the Americans bringing air support. The Germans got a lot of little hidey holes they can use to keep away from those American fighters. But as you can see, in those open areas where people are living, it is a little bit more open. Okay, so how did I do this? If I go down to map, okay, let me just turn off the reference map. Okay, so we'll look at a detailed level. This is the American deployment zone. That's that little creek bed that runs through it, and this is the open hedgerows just by itself that I was talking about at the beginning of that little scroll through. As we go down towards in this case, south, obviously, south towards the German strong point north of St. Lo, this is what I'm talking about. So you phase it in, so to speak. You got the road firstly, then you got the hedgerows on both sides, and you phase it in. So you just a little mismatch of forested tiles, but again, it's a lot more consistent and stronger as you go down the road. You throw in your brush tiles, you throw in your trees, not clumps of trees, just single trees, and then you throw in little clumps of these smaller little bushels. That are also quite well used elsewhere on the map. And you turn it into this overgrown wooden state. So this is the same road that I took you down. I think the American troops are around here somewhere. And if I turn on some elevations, you can also see the elevations were largely just automatically built in when I did the usual, if I go down to that one, there we go. So you can see the elevations are put in where the map, the topographic map I had sort of indicated, and then I've manually put through on the road that little sunken canal tool that came out with the market guardian module, is in all the games now. Run that straight down the middle of the road just to give that extra little dip in the centre of the road, which will lower it against everything else around it. It does turn it into that nice little fishbowl effect. Not perfectly, it's not perfectly circular like some of the photos, but it does give that help, give that overgrown, completely uncontrolled look. It's not like a modern roadway where you'd have, council workers out there cleaning up the side of the road. This is wartime. So yeah, that is basically how I do the hedgerows. There is still obviously these type of hedgerows which are a lot more open. The fields may be overgrown, but they're more dispersed. They're not clumping together. So I have left those a little bit more open, including some which are being used, as I said, as those farming type allotments and those natural walls around orchards and those type of things. But I thought I'd show that off. It's just, whoop, that's getting a bit complicated. There you go. Maybe that's another video, is elevations. But basically, yeah, that is the hedgerows you'll be fighting through in this campaign. Anyway, thanks for watching this little short video, and I'll see you again real soon. Take it easy.